Hello there, and welcome to the Last Time Film Podcast, where we talk film, TV, games, and all that jazz like there's no tomorrow. This week, we're talking about No Time to Die, Daniel Craig's
Woo.
final James Bond film. My name is Tom, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host John.
Hey, how's it going?
Yes, it's going quite good. How about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, it's going great. Just trying to get ready to see some films coming out this month. Really exciting
Mm,
films. So
Oh
French
yeah,
Dispatch.
definitely.
Yeah, just excited.
Just French Dispatch, just like that's the only
Oh,
thing coming
Dune.
out.
Well, Dune.
June.
Dune.
Yeah, we
Dune.
got we got we got some great stuff in the running. But first,
No time to die.
let's talk about No Time to Die.
Yes.
First of all, full spoilers.
Oh yeah,
So
full
like
spoilers. This is
cannot
massive spoilers if you're
yeah,
not going to see this
cannot
film. Or
express enough that if you haven't seen this and you intend to see it, please don't continue listening because we will talk about some really major stuff.
yeah, we'll talk about some really cool stuff, but you know, yeah. So this is massive spoilers. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if you're just here, just accidentally wandering around, still here in the spoiler zone, just going, oh yeah, yeah. Well, oh, they're talking about No Time to Die spoilers.
Just
Well,
wandering
get
around in the
out.
spoiler zone without knowing, just like, ooh, what a lovely place this is. Well, it's
It's
not.
like
It's
it's like
dangerous.
walking into the minefield and going, oh, what a lovely field. But yeah, right. Okay,
Exactly.
spoilers. Spoilers. Is everyone
Let's
okay? If you've seen the
let's
film,
just
good. Yeah.
let's just kind of like start off like simple. What did you think of the film?
This was a very different James Bond film,
Oh yes.
with it dodges all the cliches, which I
Mm,
appreciate, like it gets into the stuff that we want to see in the film. And the ending was just so unexpected. It's just wow. I didn't, expect it to be like an emotional ending, with the good send off to Daniel Craig's James Bond. And
interesting.
yeah,
Because I
it,
always kind of expected it. I think from the beginning I was like, I have a feeling I know where this film is going to go. So I feel like I was prepared for that, and that wasn't what I can agree with you 100%. This is a completely different, completely different. As I've spoken about in the pod, I rewatched all of Daniel Craig films for this. Well, not just all of Daniel Craig, the Daniel Craig Bond films. I didn't just
well,
watch every
every
single
James Bond film.
film. Oh yeah, well I watched the first 20 last year, and then so I watched the Craig Bond films this year. I will be talking about Skyfall and Spectre in the weekly viewing segment, which are the ones that I didn't cover because I've covered Casino Royale and Quantum Solace, and I think
We'll talk
basically
about
like
Skyfall. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
well like I think it's completely new in a way that reminded me of The Last Jedi, in the way that like it was so bold and so daring and did things that I wasn't expecting, and also things that the franchise has never really done before. That I
Mm.
definitely spent a couple of days. I saw this on opening night, and I spent a couple of days just sitting there, just like, I don't know what I just saw. I'm so confused. Like, I need to process this. And it literally, I have 55 notes that I've got like so many, like,
55.
I've got like so many things that I'm just like, I have so much to say.
Oh wow. I've got I've got no notes. I'm just like doing it at the top of my head because it's just fresh in my
It's
mind,
okay.
really.
You
So
can wing it. Yeah, you can wing it. Let's just go through the film. First of all, I think that the opening 20 minutes or so, like everything like up to and including the title sequence is amazing. Like top
mm,
tier Bond, excellent action sequence. Like
mm,
you've got
yeah.
some really cool callbacks and some really good emotional moments. Some I mean, what did you think about like this opening sequence in
It
whatever
was
country they're in?
it was really cool, what you said about the callbacks, but also having this really intense action sequence, with the car, with James Bond with the motorcycle, that shot and
Mm,
like going up the stairs and like
yeah,
landing on him with
brilliant.
the car. That was great. That's such a good shot right there. And you know it was like a really good opening start to understand more about Madeline's character and background as well. what she'd
Yes,
been
I
through.
love that opening sequence with Safin coming to her house was so terrifying. It was really good at like
Yeah.
building the tension. And as soon as like there's a specific shot where it shows the gun underneath the sink next to the bleach. That is a direct reference to Spectre, where she tells Bond one time a man came to our house and there was and he didn't know that our dad kept the gun under the sink. And it's just like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's from Spectre. Like, this film just did
Mm.
such a good job of like continuing various narrative threads. For example, the people who go after Bond in this opening sequence are Spectre, and I think that's really cool that
Yeah. That.
they're still
Yeah.
around. And even though that Bond defeated Blofeld at the end of Spectre, he didn't defeat the organization. They're still going.
Yeah, it's like a really huge organization, that we didn't really mostly think about, because we thought about Blofeld, being the main boss for this whole
Yeah,
organization. But really, it's just like, lots of the people as well. And, what makes, a huge threat to Bond, with other characters as well. So, yeah, that background was like so intense. Like there was some people in the cinema just getting jump scared. Like they were just like, like when he just appeared, Safin. And and that was so intense, when she gets dropped, or no, gets into the ice, and like, oh
yes.
yeah, oof. That's like really, I didn't, it's just crazy,
Yeah, it was
um
great, but it was also like an interesting kind of way to like
introduce. Yeah,
yeah, it was an
yeah.
interesting dynamic because like instead of like her escaping or something else, like he actually saves her, which
Mm.
definitely I feel was unexpected. Obviously
Yeah.
once you figure out that it is Madeline, you know that she's gonna survive. But like I thought that was really cool how they did that.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
what I loved the most, and this might be my favorite James Bond scene ever. Like I
Oh,
like the scene where he visits Vesper's grave was
yeah.
incredible. Hans Zimmer brought back
Wait,
Vesper's motif. It
wait.
was
Hans Zimmer did
beautiful.
this?
Yeah, Hans Zimmer did the score, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Like he brought back Vesper's motif from Quantum of Solace and Casino
Oh
Royale.
yeah.
We had Bond like, recognizing, his past and
Mm.
asking Vesper to forgive him and saying that he still misses her. And I think that was such a beautiful moment, because they're always, her death is a big thing for that character and something that's
Yeah.
loomed over. And the way that they brought that back and then immediately, shattered it, almost as if like to reflect the fact that this film is going to shatter a lot of familiar faces.
Yeah.
And I
And
just loved that moment. I thought it was so beautiful, and
yeah,
having that right at the beginning really like cemented
yeah,
that, oh, this is
I
going to be a
agree
good
with
one.
you there. Yeah, I agree with you there. That was really, bringing us that huge moment in Casino Royale, when she drowned, and then, having that huge arc to that character in Quantum of Solace, bringing that redemption to that character, like, oh, she didn't need to die for this. But then, that huge explosion in like at the beginning, that was like bringing back, reality to Bond. This is the world he's living in. Spectre is like really throwing rocks against, trying to bring him down.
Yeah.
What he's done to him, especially that Spectre was all part of the, killing Vesper, and I forgot her name, and I forgot the other name. I forgot the name of the other one who got killed by Spectre. But really having that
M
impact. What?
M in Skyfall.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. But I don't know why it just led me to another female character. I don't know. It wasn't M, but it
Well,
just came to my
in the
mind.
Craig, one of the things I love most about the Craig films, especially the first three, is that there's a lot of consequence for Bond,
Yes.
being a ladies' man, being a womanizer, just kind of being so careless with what he does and how he gets his information. Obviously, like sleeping with loads of women, and I think like if you like considering like the kind of like in the 5 films, 3 out of 4 of the women that he sleeps with to get information, or like, for any other reason, like
Yeah.
die like by the hands of the villain. And I think that's
Die.
like really, really good.
Yeah.
To like reflect that. And I think, even though Bond is an assassin and is cold hearted and heartless, I think that the fact that he still feels about Vesper, and it's the one thing that he has to kind of get over so he can truly trust again. He says to Madeline, when are you going to tell me your secrets? And she's like, well, when you tell me about Vesper. And it's like, he has to learn to kind of like let it go. But then the brilliant thing is that he then can't let it go because Spectre again just bang, like blows it all up, and then like straight after him, and he has to like defend against them, which I thought was amazing. That was a great action sequence, as you said. The Aston Martin back in action with the Gatling guns
Yeah.
on the like, that was such a good touch. I mean, obviously it was in all the trailers, but like just when he was like doing a bloody donuts, like just shooting everything was so cool.
And I really liked that he was just sitting in the car, just like getting, the car just getting shot at, just sitting there, just like calm, just kind of casually. Yeah, this is a normal Monday.
Yeah. No, it was amazing
and,
when like the henchman was like shooting the window and we're getting closer, and the window was getting more and more, and Madeline's like just like screaming like, I haven't done anything, like, what are you doing? Like, they're gonna kill us. And Bond's just there, just like, should I let her die? I think I might just let her die. He's just sitting there, just like completely, just like cold, just sitting there, just like, you bastard. I might just let you die right now. But obviously he doesn't. But I think it's amazing how even though it was just Blofeld playing tricks, it's the relationship between Madeline and Bond is immediately shattered because Bond feels like, he's tried to open himself back up, but obviously, the first sight of something going wrong, he would think that he's been, duped.
Yeah. And the action sequence was really choreographed, with the chase scene, and we get that intense that relationship between, like, we don't know your secrets, and then it really reinforces that whole scene as well. We don't learn much about Madeline, but until later on. But in that scene, it was like, whoa, okay, that's like one hell of an opening to a Bond film. Bond visits Vesper's grave. Yeah, explosion, and then like he wants to discover secrets, but then he gets chased down. That's crazy. Having that. It was like a very Bondish, like really cool opening. I don't know what to expect from that, but yeah.
No, I 100% agree. I think that in Spectre, there's definitely a feeling that Bond gets with Madeline. They don't really know each other, and for them to kind of like retire together after having maybe a week max, like, of a holiday together, barely a holiday, but you know what I mean, an adventure together. It felt a bit, I feel like her character in that film is underdeveloped, and the way that she falls for Bond, and the way that they kind of get together, and the way that they then want to use that as like, oh, Bond is actually going to retire for this woman, I think is a bit kind of like a bit flimsy. But then they use that really well, because the fact that they don't know each other and that they haven't got to their secrets yet works incredibly well, I think, for this kind of like supposed betrayal.
Yeah.
And then like No Time to Die, the song, so good. Billie Eilish and Hans Zimmer working together did an incredible job. Like, as soon as like you see like I thought like the way that they did it on the train, with the train going away and Madeline trying to look at Bond one last time, or what she thinks is one last time, and you get the circles, these like colored circles, and that's a direct reference to Dr. No, the first Bond film, which had like these circles. This film is like packed with references for people like me who've watched like all 25 films. Like, you get so many cool things, especially towards the end, and I'll talk about that a bit later. But I love this song. I think it's really well placed. Like the lyrics really, really work. And I'm sorry, but why don't we do opening title sequences in films these days? They're so
I don't
cool.
know. It's
They're
I
awesome.
think I know it's just like the most engaging thing, to get the film's creativity, but also like get into the action, get into the thick of it. What we into this. I can't even speak. What we in for this film, like what we getting
Yeah,
into really,
it's
and
like
having that
it's like
animation visuals. Yeah.
yeah, it's like Mission Impossible. Like it's a perfect example of like you get a taster of all the different action sequences, at the beginning of the film. Black Widow, which is one of my least favorite films of the year, had a great opening with a great opening
Oh, you gotta
sequence.
bring me back. Oh, you just threw me back into that Black Widow.
Hey, that was a good
World.
opening sequence though.
That that was a
That was
good
quite
that was a good
cool. That
opening
was quite
sequence. Like,
cool.
yeah, I mean, we've just like fully explored about it, but then we don't really
Yeah.
go into that dark stuff in that Black Widow. But anyway, I wish films done that because it really makes the film more interesting, but also get
Mm.
the audience engaged to what's happening. And also see the references. You don't know about the references that's coming out in the film, but for example, in Skyfall, you see a lot of things that you see in the film
Mm. Yeah,
that
exactly. You
happened
get
at the beginning. Yeah,
yeah, you get like the,
and
the Bond grave and like the house and like some of the corridors of the new MI6. Yeah, no, I agree. Really cool stuff. And I think the visuals in this opening sequence are really like the statue falling because this is like, the legend of James Bond kind of becoming human, like he could literally die and he literally does, and that is like shown the guns and the bullets creating DNA, like like literally like that is all that Bond knows, that is like in his DNA. Amazing stuff. I think that this was a very, very cool Bond sequence, but then
yeah.
I have to say there was then my least favorite part of the film, and it's only 3 words. The word 5 years later.
Oh,
I have so
yeah.
many problems with this. I hate this like trope
Um,
in so many things.
can I start before you go on with
Please
the
do.
5 years?
Please
I'll go
do.
on with the 5 years. This one was a weird placement. Well, what I
Mm.
don't know. It was weird. This was like such a weird place to put in. Yeah, like how this all works. I mean, 5 years later, that is such a. It just doesn't fit at all. It's just like, oh, okay, Madeline and Bond, they're split off, like trying to hide away from Spectre. But no, 5 years later, we don't get anything during those 5 years later. I mean, it's pointless to have 5 years later because, it doesn't really impact a lot of things. Like, you just cut off the 5 years later and nothing would be the same or anything like that. Like, just I don't know. It's just a weird time thing. But I don't know. It's just like
It creates so
why?
much off-screen development. It's
Yes,
actually
off-screen
like
development. Yes, that. Yeah.
Bond and Madeline leave each other, and we don't stay with any of those emotions. We don't explore what they think. We cut to 5 years later, where the plot is basically reset, and Bond is in Jamaica, and he's happy, and he's fine. You don't see that. You don't see him really. Grappling with his decision, like we never see him sit with the decision, and the fact that he never gave Madeline a full chance to explain herself, or that she even betrayed him, and then we find him in Jamaica, and he's not going to find and deal with Spectre. He's not bothered about that. Felix Leiter seeks him out. It's not like any of that. He just he's totally cool with it. And as we found out later on, Madeline has completely moved on, got a job in London, now has a daughter, with, like she's seen Blofeld, like doing therapy with him. Like, it's so much like to skip over. And
Yeah.
it was so jarring that it's like, you should have just eradicated that and had Bond, have a bit of consideration of what he's done, and then maybe he wants to find Spectre, so then he seeks out Felix, something like that. I just feel like this is a problem I have with other films, notably Avengers Endgame. What you're doing with the time jump is you're developing characters off screen, and therefore there's an immediate emotional disconnect so that that is my big like my one big problem with the film is that time jump. And I know that it makes sense for the sake of the daughter. And
Yeah.
that's the one reason why I can forgive the time jump, because yes, we need Bond's daughter to be, old enough to, be a somewhat of some pseudo character, but like, you can't do that if you didn't do a time jump. But
Yeah.
I still would have preferred it without a time jump. I really would.
Um, yeah, it doesn't make really add to any developments of, what you said about off-screen development and in game as well. But like it, yeah, it's jarring. I'm just trying to think more about, the time jump. It's pointless to nothing really. But I don't know. It's just like, okay, Bond's daughter, but yeah. But the one thing that I liked, apart from the 5-year sequence, was that the infiltration of um the building. Well, Hercules. But building that was a great sequence to establish the character of the scientist. I forgot his name. I couldn't hear. Right, here's the problem with the film. I'm going to say the whole as a whole. I couldn't hear what Rami Malek's character was saying or the scientist's character saying. All I heard was gibberish. I'm sorry. It was the cinema. I don't know.
I had to be deaf without subtitles. I feel for you. I'm sorry.
I'm like, what is he saying? I'm sorry, man. What would you say? And then Rami Malek's character is like speaking in a deep voice. We know. Okay, can we
just turn it up a little bit?
Yeah. Oh my god. But I mean, the cinema was loud, especially some action sequences like the beginning. It was like, and just like here in the car and just trying to dodge everything. But no, yeah. But it was a good sequence to establish the character. He was a bit greedy about what he was trying to do and trying to say this weapon was like perfect. This weapon was like a mass destruction. He was like crazy scientist, and
yeah, he was definitely like a goofy, like mad scientist. I think that's fairly in line with like classic Bond films. I feel like he was a bit too goofy for this film's tone. But if you can't be goofy in a Bond film, if you can't chew the scenery, when can you do it? Like James Bond is like the perfect kind of opportunity for that. Like going back to all the classic stuff. So I feel like that's fine.
Yeah. I thought that was a good character, but wasn't really well justified with the goofiness. But it's a James Bond film. But
definitely. Yeah. And then we get like seeing Bond reunite with Felix Leiter. That's so much fun. Obviously, Bond meets Felix in Casino Royale, and Felix is in Quantum of Solace and mentioned in Spectre as well. I just think that was so cool. Just seeing them back when they're playing the game with the coins and they're having a drink and they're having just a bit of fun. I thought that was great, and it's a shame that we didn't see Felix in Spectre or Skyfall, but it's good to see their relationship rekindled a little bit. Even like going as far as obviously in Quantum of Solace, there's the kind of stupid American agent played by David Harbour. And in this one, you've got Logan Ash, who obviously later on is revealed to be a villain. But still, I quite liked how they kind of played on that. And they were like, oh, Felix is back with another stupid, like American guy. But I enjoyed the twist on that.
That was a great twist. I thought that was, really adding that tension, especially in that that scene. But we will talk about that.
Well, first of all, we got to go to Cuba. What? Honestly, like the Cuba like subplot was just like it's an interesting one because it could be removed from the film. You could take out everything that happens in Cuba apart from the fact that they capture the scientist, but it's so much fun. Like Ana de Armas is awesome. Her character is just dripping. Her character is literally just like got so much, character, so much personality. She's really dripping with personality, and I think that's amazing. She's like, she's like kind of like early on in her run, kind of like, I've just like I've been training 3 weeks for this, and she's excitable, but she's also nervous, and she's really confident in an action scene. Um, like I think it was cool that they also got rid of Spectre.
Yeah,
Like what better way to establish Safin and is it Hercules?
yeah.
Yeah,
Hercules,
like
yeah,
yeah. What
Hercules.
what better way to like establish them as a really dangerous threat than to kill the whole threat of the last film. I think that was a good thing.
Mm, yeah, and I really liked Anna de Armas in this one. She was just
Mm.
great. And I was like, wow, this is a really great character. But also, having that other character that, I really like the cliche dodge, like when Bond's like, oh, we must, get together. But no, he was trying to get
Yes.
Jess
Yeah,
for
yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, wait, she's trying to like unbutton his shirt and it's like, well, at least get to know me first. And she's like, no, put this on.
No,
Yeah.
no,
I
just
thought that
try
was
this.
great.
Yeah. But the whole sequence, yeah, it was fun. But it I just thought, it was adding to that fun element to Bond, what other characters doing, like especially that other 007. I forgot her name. It is the double O.
Nomi.
Sorry?
Nomi. Yeah, the
No,
other double O
Many?
seven.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nomi,
And I
yeah.
thought that was great.
There
Yeah,
was
with that
like
kind of,
there was a very kind of Tomorrow Never Dies aspect in this action sequence, in the fact that Bond is like fighting, in the thick of it, and Nomi just kind of like comes through the roof and just picks up the scientist, and is very much, and it reminded me of Tomorrow Never Dies, with Bond and the Bond woman in that film. I definitely think that like that was quite fun seeing, like, Nomi having like the upper hand, and then Bond having the upper hand, and then Bond in ultimately kind of like just ditching Nomi to kind of like fend off like the police. I thought that was really cool.
yeah. And that the funny thing was, like after they were like shooting, they were just drinking back. They would just get back to drinking, just like,
Yeah,
yes,
honestly,
absolutely.
like Bond like is such an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like I'm
And
surprised that
somehow just
alcoholism didn't kill him.
and then just somehow regains back control in the scene. That's just funny. I really like that.
Yeah.
That adding that to the fun of Bond. Like we've seen a lot of ridiculous stuff in Bond, especially that villain. I forgot. I haven't seen most of it, but that one villain who uses his hat as like a really deadly
Odd
frisbee.
Job. Yeah, man, Odd Job. There's amazing in Austin Powers. There's an amazing like riff on that Odd Job, and then they have a character called Random Task, which is obviously like like
Random test.
synonym, and like he has like, so obviously like in Goldfinger it'd be like Odd Job, show them what you do, and he takes off his hat and he throws it, and obviously it like cuts off at the head of a statue, and Austin Powers is like Random Task, show them what you do, and he takes off his shoe and he throws it at a statue, and at the end of Austin Powers, Random Task throws his shoe at Austin and it hits him, and Austin just goes, ow, that really hurt. I mean, honestly, who throws a shoe? And it's just like, I love like these things. It's not, I think the Bond, like the henchman in this one is quite fun as well. Like he's got like
Mm,
the mechanical eye. I think he's a nice little side boss for Bond to defeat. Always
yeah.
fun. Obviously in Spectre we had Dave Batista and his metal thumbs. But yeah, I think that stuff's really
Wait,
cool.
metal thumbs.
Yeah, in Spectre,
I
do you remember
forgot.
Dave
I forgot
Batista?
about that. I forgot
Yeah, and
about.
he like puts his thumbs in someone's eye and like crushes their eyes.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I have seen Spectre, but I what? I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, well, that's just something that happened. But yeah, next
Wow.
we get
Okay.
like
Carry on. Yeah. Yeah.
next we get the first kind of big like emotional point of the film, which
Oh.
is Felix's death, which I thought, obviously you get the betrayal from Ash. And I think Ash isn't that like developed as a side villain, but I think because he basically serves to kill Felix, I think that was done well, as a nice like betrayal. And the fact that like, they're in like the bottom of this boat, and like, it's filling up with water, and Bond is like trying to like carry Felix, and Felix is just saying like, guys like us, we don't get the happy ending, and this is it for me. It's very much kind of like spoilers for Logan, but Felix's death is like Charles's death in Logan. It's not the
Oh yeah,
main death, but it serves to, you know, to me at least. I saw Felix die and I was like, yep, Bond is going to be dead. Like, you know,
yeah,
like
Bond.
Felix's
Yeah.
death builds on the idea that time is running out of, you know, time's running out for Bond and there's no time to die.
Oh,
Yeah.
no time to die. But yeah, that
I,
whole action sequence, fighting against that villain. I forgot his name. It was
Ash,
Ash.
Logan Ash.
Ash,
Yeah.
right. So Ash, like fighting with Ash, that was like brutal. We haven't seen like a lot of brutal things. Oh, we have. What are you
Mm.
talking about? Yes, of course.
Well,
Especially that
we'll talk
Casino
about it.
Royale.
We'll talk about it later. But like, when Bond eventually kills Ash, I think that was amazing.
Oh, that slow, like anxiety, that fearful,
Mm.
you thought it was gonna be sudden, but no, it was just like like that quick, no, not
Yeah.
slow death, like just like saying like Ash like, oh please, please no, and then Bond's like, I'll leave you. It's like that
Yeah.
cold character.
Yeah. Well,
uh,
I mean, Bond just that scene. So like, honestly, you know, like Ash just says like brother, like you know, and Bond's just like Bond is so soulless and so merciless, and he's just like, I had a brother, his name was Felix, and he stomps on the car, and it just crushes him. It's like, you know, don't mess with Bond. He is like literally trained to have no emotion, and when it comes to it, he really doesn't. He will literally do what he has to, and especially when like when emotions are involved, when he gets attached to people like Felix, I think that is a really good thing to explore.
mm, yeah, and that was like a really emotional scene, especially like the boat capsizing and um adding that dramatic death to it. So yeah,
Mm. It
that
was a
was it.
bit of a strange cut from
Yeah,
like Bond on the raft, and then it cuts to him in London, and I was like, sorry, so he found a freight car that took him straight to London. Like what? um,
okay.
I feel like that
Unless,
was just a bit of a strange one.
yeah, yeah, some of the yeah, that was the way. That was a strange one. Like we could have seen like him getting on the boat, but no, he just got like and then cuts to him getting back to his Aston Martin. But yeah,
Yeah, how many
that
Aston
was
Martins does that guy have? He's just like, oh, I've lost another Aston Martin. Don't worry, I've got 12 more in a garage
which is
somewhere.
like £1 million. I don't know, like something more of that. Oh, billion.
Well, I mean,
Um,
that's yeah, $1 billion. I think that's really cool. Because in Casino Royale, Bond wins the Aston Martin, um, from the guy who he plays poker with at the beginning.
yeah.
Like he wins like the classic one, and I think that's a nice little touch. That like, you know, then he's like riding that same one, and it's like, you know, ever since that moment, it's been Bond's car, and Bond kind of feels ownership over it. I think that was really cool. But like, obviously, now in the narrative, we kind of explore MI6 a bit more, see how it's changed, and I think Nomi as the new 007 is a really interesting character. But my problem with
Mm.
her is that I feel like she's a bit underdeveloped, and I feel like I don't really understand how she feels, you know, with Bond coming back and her having made a name for herself as 007 and him coming back as the old 007. You know, I feel like I would like to, you know, understand a bit more of like, you know, their reconciliation and their relationship before that.
Yeah, and like how yeah, I just didn't see like any more development. Like I wish there was like some arc. I mean, but like later on, when just like, oh, reinstate back Bond as 007 and
Yeah.
saying like, oh, it's just a number. That was a good
Mm.
little arc, but I wish there
Yeah,
was like
I
more
agree.
development.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's nice that they kind of like put their differences aside, and you know, they kind of
Mhm.
come together as the new and the old team coming together. I mean, I definitely obviously we have no idea where the franchise is going to go next, but I'd like to see Naomi come back, whether it be in her in a spin-off or as a side character again to the next Bond, whatever they want to do. I think she's a cool
Mhm.
character and I'd like to see more from her. Um, I quite like the MI6 group. Obviously, you know, M, Q, Moneypenny, and Tanner. I think those characters are really cool. You know, good to see them again. We didn't get to see quite as much of them as we didn't see. We saw Bond reunite with quite a few of them, but we didn't get to see him reunite with Moneypenny, for example. After 5 or 6 years, I was that wasn't the best. But there were some really nice details, like when there was a painting of M of Judi Dench M and the old like original era M, which I thought was really really nice. When the current M is sitting, too many M's, man, too many M's. And then like there was a great scene where Bond's talking to M about Blofeld, and they are just very slightly playing the theme for On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is the Bond film where Blofeld wins and kills Bond's wife, and the film ends with Blofeld killing Bond's wife, and it's like a really like dark ending, which I think is really really cool. And yeah, absolutely love that. So like again, Hans Zimmer bringing back little motifs and little like callbacks, I thought was really really nice.
Yeah, yeah, that was a really good scene as well.
The next bit is obviously like Blofeld, or kind of like, I guess first of all, Madeline, like the reveal that Madeline is in London. And she kind of meets up with Safin for the first time, like since the opening. I thought that was like, again, another really tense sequence, where, even like, I guess as we've seen the trailers, we knew that that was him.
Yeah.
Or like, it's not difficult. Most, he's clearly a villain, but like seeing him, only like we've only heard like him like whispers of him until like now, and we see him, and like he gives Madeline this task, which is like would really be like difficult to actually kill, and obviously he gives her his like mask, and she understands who he is. I think that was really like really really well done.
Yeah, and like that slow build up tension, like he gives that box to Madeline, and then it just reveals that he was the guy in the mask, and that really just sums up that fear from Madeline, especially that we've seen that the backstory in the cabin or the house, really just reinforces that whole idea of Safin and being this whole really devious villain, throughout the film, and being this huge shadow between, like he's like a very contrasting villain to the other ones, but he was like the most creepiest, I think.
Yeah, you know what? Like really, I wish that they kind of explored, Madeline's relationship with Safin a little bit more, because clearly she isn't willing to kill for him. You see that like when like, he gives her the job for Blofeld. I mean, let's talk about the scene where Bond and Madeline meet up. It had weight, but I didn't think it had too much like emotions behind it,
Yeah.
Like they just kind of say, "Oh, hello," and it's kind of a bit cold and a bit awkward, but I feel like there should be a bit more behind that. But what I really loved in this sequence was the slow build up to Blofeld coming back, and he's slowly approaching, his cell, like, slowly coming forward. And, Madeline is freaking out because she knows that Safin wants her to kill him. And, and she's telling James, "You have no idea what this is." And, and like, and I think Christoph Waltz plays Blofeld amazingly, just sitting there, with that just expression of calm on his face. He's like so like almost happy, just sitting there, just like with that small smile on his face as he gets close. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Blofeld Inspector, but I think that like the relationship between Bond and Blofeld is done really, really well in this sequence.
Yeah, and I felt like, I mean, the villain. Well, Blofeld was sorry, the villain in Spectre, but Blofeld, he was a bit weak, a little bit, wasn't that strong of a character. But again, I could appreciate, Christoph Waltz's Blofeld because he was having that really terrifying aura, you know, around that character, you
Yes.
know, giving that creepy atmosphere to it. But you know, he was like this really calm and just smirking, and you know what? Yeah, he's sitting in that chair and like giving that anger towards Bond. You know, like he's really angry, and especially when you know when Bond goes to his neck and like that really
Yes.
intense that giving that really cold character of Bond, you know, what he's
Mm.
been through, and that especially like um Vesper's death and you know M's death, you know, really giving us that impact to what Blofeld did in the entire Bond Daniel Craig's Bond.
Definitely. I mean, in Spectre, you know, spoilers for Spectre, but I'm not a huge fan of the fact that, you know, that they hate each other because, you know, they had like childhood trauma. I prefer a villain who has a more natural kind of like, you know, a more natural and tangible hatred for the hero. But what I love is how Blofeld gets under Bond's skin. And you know, like
Mm.
you know, and he says things like, you know, he calls back like cuckoo, and then like Bond is like die, and literally like starts to like strangle him. And then the
Mm.
fact that he does die, his surprise death, you know,
Yes.
like I feel like if we didn't, I mean, maybe it would have been better if we hadn't have known that Madeline was wearing the perfume, which was going to, you know, like which carried the toxin. That might it might have been more of a surprise, but I really, really liked how the way that they are presenting Safin as a really threatening villain is by showing him as like just killing all the other villains that you know might be like you know kills Spectre, kills Blofeld, and I feel like that makes him so much more kind of like threatening.
Mm. Yeah, but I wish. Okay, this one of the criticisms in the film is that it was very the film was expositional. You know, you could see everything
Yes.
that was happening, and well, again, what you said about that perfume, you know, killing Blofeld. You know, I wish that we didn't see that because that would be like really huge plot twist, but that you know
Mm.
like that camera you know pointing towards you know that hand towards you, oh my god, what? And then you know showing Blofeld dead and like, oh my god, but Madeline did this, but no,
Yeah.
it was like showing us that. But yeah, I wish there was like something that we didn't see, but you know it was very heavy expositional, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this film obviously is the longest Bond film ever coming in. I think it's like 2 hours, 47 minutes. And I think it's
Yeah,
very, very well paced. I didn't feel
yeah,
bored at
I agree with
all.
that. I agree with that. Yeah.
Like,
It,
there wasn't a dull moment, not really. But I feel like my problems with it come with, especially after the time jump, you're completely right. It becomes so expositional. They have to explain everything because 5 years have passed. And I feel like sometimes they just don't use the time wisely enough, you know? And I feel like those problems would just be, you know, like solved if there wasn't a time. Right, okay. Hollywood, stop making time jumps in films, please, please. It literally
I think there
like
was a lot of time jumps
I
in a
can't
lot
think
of.
of a good example of a time jump. You know,
Let me think. Let me think. Uh,
the one I could think of was The Incredibles, but like I think that that's like a a very
well justified.
purposeful kind of like yeah, it's justified. It's purposeful, like you know, showing the glory days of this of the superheroes and then kind of like contrasting that with their life now is a very purposeful choice and works. I mean, hey, I can admit when I'm wrong. The you know time jumps in films can work, but I just it's rare for me to see one that really really goes for it and really works in the narrative. But yeah, wasn't one that I was a fan of. Um, but then I guess we got so after Blofeld's death, we got the like one of the biggest kind of like reveals in this film. Bond has a daughter.
Dun dun dun.
What did
Sorry,
you
I just want.
what did you think about Mathilde Bond?
I that was unexpected.
Yeah.
I mean, like throughout the Bond films that we've seen, you know, Bond has a daughter. Whoa,
Well,
like
I mean, if you think
whoa.
about all 25, I mean, let's be honest. Bond probably doesn't take protection on missions with him. He probably has a lot of children. Like, let's be
Oh my
honest
god.
right now. With like,
That
if you
I
like
mean, that would
consider,
be sorry, that would be like a
look
lot of
on.
like endings like saying, let me tell you, there was a man called James Bond. So
Yeah, but instead of it being like a happy, they're like this guy just came like and just like just impregnated me. He's an asshole. Because that's how most the other people would see him. Like
he
thank God
said,
Madeline
shaky,
didn't.
not stirred. Man,
God damn it. Him and his
I should have
martinis.
not said shaky, not stirred. I wanted to be stirred, and that's it. But you know,
Wow.
wow,
Nice.
that's
I would
but
have
yeah,
liked
that
to
huge
see. Yeah, go on.
that huge scene, you know, that Bond being a daughter. I think that really gives us that emotional impact. You know, him being a father. You know,
Yeah.
throughout the film. You know, especially at the end. Like,
Definitely. I think
we'll talk
I
about the
would have
film.
liked to see a little bit more about like Bond coming to terms with the fact that he has a daughter.
Yeah,
But honestly, this film has something that no other Bond film has. It really has the theme of family.
family.
Yeah, yes, right? It really is like Bond did Fast and Furious better. Like they
Yeah.
really I think that, and I think it really works. You know, they have this sincerity and this connection that really sells the ending of the film.
Mm.
And I mean, what I love in this whole like chunk of the film, the forest sequence, so good at building
Ah,
suspense, showing
yeah.
Bond like doing some tactics. You know, like obviously we already talked about how he kills Ash by stomping the car onto him. You know, full like merciless Bond action. Really nice like setting with the forest and the mist. I mean, this is a very good looking film. The action has never looked better. But what I loved is Madeline. She's so badass. She's competent. She's badass. You know, like it more than makes up for her somewhat undeveloped character in Inspector. And even though
Yeah.
yes, her and Matilda get captured by Safin, getting to see her kick some ass, and just throughout this film, Madeline isn't a damsel. She isn't just there to be a love interest. She's also there to kind of like question like Bond as a character and like how he trusts people. Not only and they give a bit of something that you don't really see in other Bond films, this kind of maternal nature of Madeline kind of being a mother and like protecting a child, and I think that's really really cool. I don't know how much of this film was done by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, but she did write a lot of this film, particularly like the dialogue and the characters for Nomi and Ana de Armas's character and Madeline. I think she did a really good job. I think all the female characters are really well realized, and considering how weak Bond women can be, I think this film doesn't have. I don't have a one problem with the representation of women. I mean, maybe some of the characters are underdeveloped, but I think they're really strong in general.
Yeah, I agree. You know, the representation in this women in this film was like very strong. You know, especially that we've seen in the Bond films. I mean, I haven't seen the rest of them, but I don't want to be too wrong. But I don't want to be like too skeptical. Like it was strong. You know, like it wasn't too cliche. You know, some of the stuff. So I like that. So
well, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
particularly in those early Bond films, there are some quite problematic things. And I love to
yeah,
see a Bond film that kind of, and most of the Craig films, Spectre is the one that I'm not a huge fan of in that regard. But I mean, Spectre's my least favorite Daniel Craig Bond film. But like, I think that the others, do a much better job in their, representation of Bond women, not in like the classic sense. But yeah, so like after Madeline and Matilda get kidnapped, we get to see, we kind of go to like the final like the climactic battle of the film. And I loved like just the little things, like they're in the plane, Bond and Nomi are in the plane. Obviously, as you said, Nomi asks to reinstate Bond as 007. And as we said, it's not really earned, but it is a nice little arc for her to have. And it's really fun, Q giving them gadgets again. Q's like, here's a watch, it's got an EMP in it, like like all that stuff is like just really fun. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, I thought it was really fun to have, but you know, Wait, fun to have. What?
Fun to have.
Um, is it? I don't know what I just said.
No,
Okay.
I'd say so. I'd say so. Um, yeah,
Oh,
like, and then like obviously you get like this whole like Safin's like base of operations. It's very like classic Bond villain. You know, he's
yeah.
got like a base where people are working, you know, making this like toxin. I thought the base was really visually interesting. I think
Mm.
Safin had a lot of presence, and I think Rami Malek, you know, he really chewed the scenery in all the right places, I think.
Yeah, and I thought, he wasn't too mashed up, mashed it, mashed up. I can't see it. I can't even. Yeah, okay, it's like the
You
typical
trying to
villain.
say Ma-
Mustache,
mustache twirling?
mustache. Yeah, mustache twirly villain looking like, but no, it was just like a perfect villain.
Yeah, I
It was
agree. I
balanced.
mean, he's far from my favorite villain of the series. You know, that goes
Yeah,
to Javier Bardem as Mr. Silver in Skyfall.
Skyfall.
You know, but I think Safin was really good and really, you know, I think his role is kind of just to like split up the family, and I think he did that really well. You know, he wants to
Yeah,
break the Bond family, you know, apart, and it erases the stakes. But they do kind of get back together really easily. They just kind of all run into the same room, like, oh, there you are, like. But I think that you know the fact that you know Safin wants this kind of world destruction, and you know torturing Bond isn't his like main thing. It's more like you know to have you know, Madeline on his side. Again, not really too developed, but quite fun. There was a really, really cool bit in the action sequence where Bond turns and you get the classic gun barrel moment. Do you know what I mean?
oh yeah, yeah,
Where
yeah, yeah.
like
That
he's like
that
walking
whole
down the
sequence.
thing and then somebody shoots
Yeah,
him from behind and he turns and he shoots and the hallway looks like the gun barrel. I just thought that was like what a bloody fun twist. That was
yeah.
just
That's a really good play.
mwah,
Fit. It was
cinema.
fitting. Yeah, cinema. Oh, cinema.
Cinema.
So,
Brilliant.
yeah, and especially this whole base. Is it in Japan?
It's I think it's in like waters near Japan and Russia.
Yeah, that the interesting detail I thought about. We are going to see that confrontation, with Bond and Safin.
Mhm.
There was like I don't know. In the background, there was a Japanese temple. I don't know. It was like in the background behind Safin, if you
Okay.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
was it like a
and
tapestry or something?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. And the way, when Bond, was like saying to forgive, I'm saying sorry, I'm sorry, that
Yes.
pose that he was doing. That was if I remember, it was like a pose to like to show that you forgive you in Japan to I don't know. It was like something like that. I don't know if I'm wrong, but it did definitely look like a pose that was like forgiving to show you
That's a
or to
really
give.
good point. I'd forgotten about that. The moment where Bond begs forgiveness, you know, to save Matilde was amazing. Like, honestly, like the fact that, you know, like obviously Safin really affects Bond in a way that, you know, like mentally, like Bond has never like cowered, even in Casino Royale, when Bond was naked and Le Chiffre was smacking his balls with a rope. Not
Oh yeah,
even then was not even then was Bond, you know, cowering to the villain in the way that he did then. You know, he never gave any of the other villains the satisfaction to know that they had like bested him. But like, you know, even in any of the torture sequences, you know, where Bond is like, you know, tied up and like, you know, whether it be Blofeld drilling into his brain or like, you know, Silver, you know, like just like you know, having like found and is about to kill M in Skyfall. I think it's perfect that it's only now that Bond, you know, bows down and says, you know, like, you know, I'm sorry, please don't hurt them. You know,
Yeah,
like,
and
isn't
especially.
it like, go on.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that.
No, 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 of course, go
Sorry.
on.
I really liked. Sorry to begin. I want to give in like the dialogue between Safin and Bond in that one. About like God does not like. I don't know. Time does not.
Yeah, history isn't kind to men who play God.
Yeah, that's that one. That whole thing about like destruction. About him, and you can see the dynamic between them. And it's quite intense. About their personal differences. What they want to do, and like their motivation, and like you can see, yeah, again with the dynamic, him, he was like really forgiving, that Stephens have higher power, but then Bond, resists and tries to save his daughter. Um, yeah, I wish I thought I had something to say, but yeah, I think it slipped away. But yeah, I really like that whole, the cinematography, in that one, that it was like really intense, giving that really intense atmosphere into that scene. Yeah, yeah. I wish there was something to say about more about that, but that was a really good scene. I just really liked it. That one. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, taking obviously Madeline, who I might say is also, in the action, it makes sense that because she's Mr. White's daughter, she would be competent in the action sequences. But
Mm.
I like how Madeline, Mathilde, and Nomi all like escape the island, and it just leaves Bond. It's just Bond, and he's essentially on his own, and he has to like open the doors and get them all out. And you got some really like a nice like kind of like time bomb, like obviously the missiles. I'm not really sure why it's important for M to be like, no, we can't send the missiles because then Japan and Russia will hate us. And then Bond's like, no, you should send the missiles. And M's like, okay. Like, I don't understand why you had to be like so like, like hesitant to do that, but whatever. But there was some really nice kind of like time scale action, like when he was like trying to get to the doors. I thought that was really cool. And classic James Bond line when he when he kills the henchman with the eye, and he like uses his watch to like explode his brain, and Q's like, 007, are you all right? And Bond's like, I just had a run in with a guy. I showed him your new watch, blew his mind. And it's just like just fun Bond like dialogue. I thought that was just like classic, really nice stuff.
And can I add more to that?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I really like, the camera movement, it was like all in one shot. And,
Yes.
you didn't, really expect to be one shot, but, it was like classic Bond, trying to get up the stairs. And it was like, whoa, okay, this is really cool, getting to that tower and like all the henchmen, like giving us that one classic Bond scene, before, Daniel Craig, because that was just great to see.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that one shot. Whoa, such a good scene.
Definitely. And then like when Bond thinks that he's like done it, he opens the doors and he thinks he's okay. And what I loved is that when the doors start closing again and he's running, you get that moment where Safin shoots him like 4 times, and you really, the tension and the stakes or raise so much. Bond has literally been shot and is now like, at the mercy of Safin. And this final duel that they have where they're just wrestling with each other in the water, I thought Bond was going to drown Safin like in the beginning of Casino Royale. Like his very first kill is drowning someone. But the way that, the scratch on Bond's face, and then Bond knows that that's it.
Yeah.
He can't ever go near Madeline or Mathilde again because he's got the virus on him. There's nothing he can do. That was
that's heartbreaking,
amazing.
Man.
So heartbreaking.
But the most brutal thing, when Bond like breaks Safin's arm.
Yes. Oh my god.
That was so
snaps it.
Oh, and in the cinema, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
oh my god, Bond is just like at it and just like so being brutal, you know, like he's just at this point, you know, he really loves his loves Madeline and his daughter, you know, about like he wants and the scene, oh, this is really sad, this one. Right. There was a detail I saw with the lip like I could lip read what Bond was about to say
Mhm.
um to Naomi and like so meet Madeline and my daughter. I don't know what he said, but I don't think it was my daughter or something. And then he's like,
Yeah.
"This is," and then he said, "I don't know if he read this, but I lip read. He's saying, this is my family.'"
Oh, that's so. Oh man, that's
I
hot.
think that's
I
what he
mean,
said. He said family or something that lip read, but that's what he probably said, and that was so heartbreaking. I was like right now, I'm thinking about like you said you said that. I think that would be
honestly, like they really brought the emotion. Like literally, Bond shoots Safin in the head, like just straight away. As soon as he knows that it's over, there's nothing left. He just coldly shoots him in the head because Safin has literally taken everything from Bond. The time that
yeah,
Bond has a family, he has something to retire, something to live for. You know,
yeah,
he finally can trust Madeline. You know, and he can trust himself, and he has a daughter. It's literally no time for him to die, but he can't do anything. He literally is he's stuck and he has to go.
yeah.
And the
Uh,
final ascent on the ladder was painful.
uh,
Everyone in MI6, you know, Madeline, you know, they're all talking to him. You know, there must be something we can do. You can come back, and but Bond knows there's nothing. You know, he's been shot multiple times. You know, he can't do anything. You know, they can't get the virus off him. He's That's it. The music,
it's
amazing.
permanent.
The music is
Yeah,
literally the track is called Final Ascent, and Hans Zimmer just brings it, the brutality of it, amazingly. You know, they use the No Time to Die motif, and as Bond like climbs up, and you know he climbed under the roof. You know, just I just thought it was beautiful, so beautiful, and
yeah,
really effective in like in Bond's final moments.
yeah, and like it was just so emotional. Like I didn't cry, but it was just like
No,
wow.
me neither. But it
I was
really,
like wow, this
it got to me. It was like
it was
they're
like
really
wow.
doing this, you know?
Like it was like a proper good send off to the
Yeah.
character and
Mm.
Daniel Craig's, run as James Bond, and um, and that conversation between Madeline and Bond, like saying she's got your eyes, and
Yeah.
then Bond says, "I know."
Yeah. Amazing. And then he says, "You've got all the time in the world," which is just like
That's so impactful to like the
it
title
really
and
is.
especially the whole film, especially about time and
Yeah.
like like about that whole virus, the thing that targets people, especially and like you got all the time in the world, and then with Bond, there's no time to die.
Yeah,
So
he's literally got nothing left. And the way that he dies, full acceptance of a situation, you know, watching as the missiles hit, you know, doesn't even flinch. And I think that's perfect. You know that this super spy would die, you know, saving the world, but he couldn't save himself. You know, and I think that was
and
amazing. And then
so
like you
it was
get
like
this.
that,
There you
that
go on.
massive sacrifice, that to
Yes,
that character,
100%.
and like we've been through this character, the things that he's been through, like such, like Vesper, and like
Mm,
the horrors that he's seen, throughout the film, and he just accepted it. He just accepted his own death. That having that huge self-sacrifice that really impacts the whole character. As Bond.
yeah,
So yeah.
100%. And then
Mm.
the final toast. M reads a poem, and they toast Bond. Beautiful. And I have to say, Madeline's final drive, reflecting the drive that her and Bond did at the beginning of the film,
Mm.
where she says, "I'm going to tell you a story. It's about a man called Bond, James Bond. Just perfect. Literally, those are
It
the
is perfect.
words, the very first words that James Bond said in any film ever in Doctor No. His first words are Bond, James Bond. Those are the final lines of Casino Royale, and that is what they leave it with, is just spectacular.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is such an amazing film. This, especially
Yes,
the ending, like it's just perfect. It's just the dialogue and the cinematography that I just
yeah.
needed to have.
They do
Like,
Bond's death so well, so well. They go through a tunnel and the tunnel gets further away, like the gun barrel going further away. Just bloody brilliant.
uh,
And the one
wow.
final thing that makes it just cherry on top of the
Oh,
of the
tell me,
cake.
tell me.
The final song that they use is called "We've Got All the Time in the World," which
Oh,
perfect poetry right there with what Bond says. But also, this is the same song that they leave on Her Majesty's Secret Service on, which is the Bond film where, as I said earlier, Bond's wife is killed. You know,
mm,
so now they use that same song, but instead of it being that Bond is left on his own, it means that instead of it, Bond loses his love. It's his love loses him, and it's this reflection of it, and it really is
yeah,
just
poetry.
yeah, cinema,
Wow.
poetry, all of it.
It,
I mean, this is the perfect ending. I couldn't have asked for a better ending to a Bond film,
yeah.
to a Bond
This,
run. Like,
yeah,
I can
ever.
confidently say that Daniel Craig has the greatest James Bond run ever. I'm not a huge fan of Spectre, but other than that, I think he's got some really solid films. Skyfall is my favorite Bond film ever. Casino Royale is incredible. No Time to Die is a perfect ending. Even Quantum of Solace is bold and daring and a unique character study. I think that they really knocked it out of the park. I can't believe that we had to wait 2 years and it was still amazing.
It is such an
Like,
amazing film. Like, go
what?
and see it. It's
Yes,
such like,
everyone, and you need to see it at the cinema as well, and watch the Bond films. Like, watch the Daniel Craig Bond films, and then go and see it because it's a really nice franchise. Which brings me to my next question, John. What
hmm,
next? What do you want to see now? Reboot?
okay.
Soft reboot?
Wait.
Spin-off?
Before we get into that, we should
Yeah.
give it out of 10 because it
Okay.
might
Yeah.
be a heavy
Of
discussion.
course. Of course.
So this film was an experience because it was such an
Mm,
amazing Bond film. This I
definitely.
really enjoyed. With the whole sequence, like there were some fun sequences, some heavy sequences, and like especially at the beginning, like talking to at Vesper's grave, and
Yeah.
having that whole arc to the character. We've been through this character through these films, like the horrors that you've seen, and like it's such an amazing ending to a character, that we've been through. So I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10.
Amazing. Literally,
You?
it's difficult to argue with. I'm gonna give it an 8, and I'm only gonna give it an 8. Now, John, I don't really rewatch films at the cinema, but I'm gonna go and rewatch this in a couple of weeks' time. I really need to see it again. But yeah, 8 out of 10 for me. I really, really, really didn't like the time jump. But other than that, I have very little critiques. This is a really good film. I'm so surprised. I really am surprised. I wasn't sure it was going to be that good. The trailers look like 1,000 films smushed into one, but they really brought it together. And it might not be as groundbreaking as Skyfall or Casino Royale, but it really was a perfect send off. And
Yeah.
personally, I think they should leave it here. I don't want a reboot. I don't want a new Bond. I don't want a
Yeah.
spin off. I think they should leave the franchise here. They're not going to. God, no, are they going to? It makes money. They're going to make a new one. They're going to either recast Bond or just do a full reboot of the whole thing, or they're going to do a spin off, whether it be with Nomi or Ana de Armas's character. Who knows? All I know is that for me, 25 films, this final five film series of Daniel Craig, just wonderful, really, really wonderful, really strong, and I'm happy to leave it here.
Yeah. Just happy to end there, especially what the character's been through. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is the
I don't want.
this is the rise of Skywalker. This is the Avengers Endgame. But I think it's better than both of those films, and I
I
think
agree.
it ends the franchise exactly where it needed to end. And I mean, I hope it ends the franchise. But God, I'm so impressed. I'm so happy.
Yeah. Um, I'm so satisfied with everything about this film. So it just worked really well. It's just an enjoyable film to watch, really. So yeah,
Definitely.
especially that, you know,
Yeah.
some really great sequences that I really liked. So
Mm,
yeah, yeah.
definitely.
Mm.
And you know what? We've been talking for over an hour now. So I'm going to say let's skip viewing this week and let's go straight to the
Okay.
outro because,
Okay, cool.
it's a somber moment. It really is. James Bond, like I've been watching James Bond films since I was like a really young kid, and this is like every time. I mean, especially for us in the UK, obviously in America, Bond comes out in like a week or something, but for us, this is like a thing that people really come together for, and people love Bond, and yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, especially in the cinema last night, everyone
Yeah,
like no matter what film fan or like James Bond fan or anything, that you're just gonna see this film. Like it's such a massive thing in like UK about like this whole character to James Bond. You know that whole famous phrase, like shaken, not stirred,
yeah.
and
So many iconic things come from this franchise. Would we even have franchises in this same way? Would we even have reboots if James Bond hadn't have given us the different Bonds? This we owe so much to this franchise, and I think that they've delivered an absolutely terrific ending. That they're not going to end it here. There will be a 26th film, but
yeah,
God damn it, I'm satisfied. I really am.
yeah. To Daniel Craig's character, let me tell you, Daniel Craig did an amazing job as Bond, and my favorite Bond as well. Like he just did it so well,
100%. Yeah, definitely.
and yeah, and it's just so, so satisfying, so satisfying.
Definitely.
And
Here's
and
to you, Daniel Craig.
here's to
Cheers.
you, salute,
I don't have a drink. Salute. I don't have a drink, but
drink, or I don't know, but cheers anyway.
yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, well done. I
Yeah.
and that it would be so annoying, like if we didn't get to see this, like it was just Spectre that we just saw, and
Yeah, right.
Daniel Craig was like, "Nah, I'm not doing another one," because he's just like he wanted to kill himself,
Well,
but
he wanted to end on a high, didn't he? And he really did end on a high, I must say. And I'm really happy this film came out in cinemas. I'm happy that they stuck to their guns. If this had been, imagine if this had came out on like Amazon Prime. Oh, I would have been
oh,
so upset. I mean, like,
oh,
this is a film that deserves to be at the cinema. It really is
yeah,
an experience.
go
And
watch it,
this is it.
go,
I
yeah,
feel
go
like,
watch it.
you know, Black Widow wasn't the big blockbuster. Suicide Squad wasn't. Shang-Chi wasn't. Fast and Furious
Mm.
wasn't. This No Time to Die for me is the cinema spectacle that I've been waiting for. I
Oh,
feel like I feel
like
like I'm back.
yeah, especially like with lots of people, it was so satisfying to see everyone in the cinema, not like the people I know, but like the
Yeah,
people, like the moviegoers, like it was packed, like the full queues of people getting popcorn, and like
definitely. So satisfying.
yeah, it was just like the experience that everyone just brings cinema together. I think cinema and music just brings everyone together. That's like the only key thing
Definitely.
that humanity has
100%.
left.
100%. Yeah,
Ah,
that's it. That's all we have left. Just the two things, and everything else just does irrelevant. It's cinema and music. Anything else, just no cannon fodder.
yeah. So amazing film. So
Definitely. So we are
yeah.
running out of time. So I'll just
Right.
take us
Okay.
out,
We
John.
have no time. Ha, see, no time to
We
do.
have no time to
Okay.
do the
Okay. Let me
outro.
let me end over here. So thank you for listening. We have enjoyed talking about No Time to Die, in its great form, and in the cinema. Go watch it, please. It's so good, and it will
Yes.
help the cinema. And okay, so please wear your mask in the cinema because I did as well because I
Yeah.
wanted to keep it
Same.
open. And yeah, wash your hands. When you
Hey,
see your
also don't
friends,
cough don't cough in the cinema. It's annoying. People
yeah.
are
Oh,
coughing in the cinema,
please
and I'm just
don't
like,
be
just
don't
like,
be
shut
that
up.
guy who creates anxiety for coughing
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
that something like that. So yeah. So thank you, Tom.
Yes. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It just makes sense. And subscribe if you want to see more. Next week, the long-awaited Wes Anderson ranking. We're going to rank all
Ooh.
10, 10, 9. I always get that wrong. Why do I
No.
always get that wrong? I don't know. We're going to do all 9 Wes Anderson films in run up to the French Dispatch, which we'll be covering in about mid-November because, we were going to do it earlier, but we're going to do June instead because, it's June.
Boom.
Yeah, so we're going to do all 9 of them, and also there's loads of other things you can watch. If you want to see us do more James Bond things, let us know. Send us an email at OutstimeFilmPod. Tell us what you thought of No Time to Die. Tell us if you want to see us do more Bond films. Do a ranking, anything like that. We will definitely consider it. Or put it in the comments. Or follow us on Twitter or Instagram at OutstimeFilmPod. Or follow me on Twitter at Tom the Boardman. You don't get much, but yeah, sure. And I think that's everything. So without further ado, take what you're given.
Get nothing back.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.